Morning, good morning. Hello, hello. Good morning. We are live. We are live. Hello. Sweet. Just checking in. TikTok, what's going on? Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. It's so awkward to start this thing. Gotta make sure everything's connected. Uh X and Instagram. We're live on Instagram now. Instagram's a little cool feature where I can stream from StreamYard. I use StreamYard. I get this question a lot. I use StreamYard for all my streaming. It can go across all these platforms, which is really, really cool. I think there's a stink bug in my office. It smells kind of like stink bugs. Y'all deal with stink bugs at all? That smells like a stink bug in my office. Anyways, happy Friday, y'all. What's going on? It's good to see y'all. Just me, myself, and I today. Again, Friday's moving forward. I mean, if people bail, obviously, but Friday's moving forward. It's just going to be me, myself, and I. We're going to get really tactical, practical, whatever actical you want to talk about. But today we're talking about how to ace the interviews. So if you're watching this in the future, you can probably fast forward for the first 5-6 minutes. I just do all these introductions. But first off, please say, hey, would love to hear from you. It is Friday. Feel free to use that in your dictionary and your vocabulary moving forward. Friday. And it's good to be with y'all. Please say hey. Would love to hear from you. The reason why I tell people say hey. So first off, I know who's watching. Second off, it's a networking platform. This is a networking platform. I put out a video yesterday about what my goal is for why I do all of these streams is because I want you to be able to network off the back of me, right? So I am very awkward at parties. I don't know about y'all. I really can't stand going to parties. I usually hide behind my wife the entire time, but I'm really good at making quick connections. And so that's what I want. I want to be able to go, hey, Emmett, meet Shabab, and then y'all just talk, right? So anyways, please say hey, because I want to get y'all connected. Also, too, people literally find apprentice mentors, mentees. I have engineering leaders. Really, I can't. So I had a call recently from a buddy. You probably know him. He's on this show. He's been a guest. He's a CTO. We're going to possibly work together this year on some filling some roles for him. And he literally, we had a conversation. He goes, I hired somebody from your live chat. And I was like, you are kidding me. And he goes, no. So again, like hiring managers always do this. Kent, it's good to see you, buddy, on Instagram. Good to see you, buddy. Can't wait to get you back in the pipes in March, buddy. Can't wait to get you back in the pipes in March. So anyways, y'all say, hey, bring visibility. You know, I talk about social proof in your career. The way to do that is to hop on these streams at least. Hey. And so Hero now, hello there, checking in from East Nashville. Where in East Nashville? I used to live in East. I lived a block from Rose Pepper on Manchester. You're a ServiceNow developer. Shoot me an email. It should be my contact information, Taylor Desson at Gun.io. Would love to help you, Hero now. What else? Here, I want to give a shout out to my partners this morning. First off, I want to give a shout out to that conference, the coffee sponsor of the show. Drinking it right now. It's the only tech conference that I know that has coffee beans. I'm heading there in 3 weeks to Austin. If you are in the Austin area or the Texas area, I know Texas is big, by the way, but if you can drive to Austin, I would highly recommend buying a ticket. Get your employer to buy you a ticket. It's incredible. They're targeting 300 to 400 engineers. It's a very family-friendly environment. And Clark, the guy who runs it, is a huge supporter of the show. And also, I'm a huge supporter of him, so go check him out. Also, too, want to give a shout-out as well to Render ATL. So Render ATL, if you have not been to Render ATL, they are the premier sponsor of Guidance Counselor 2.0. June 12th through 14th, it's going to be an epic time. Think like Render is like out of Atlanta, but think like South by Southwest, Coachella. It's like, you know, Rolling Loud. It's like these. It's a tech event, but it's just so much more than just a conference. I would highly recommend checking them out. Monday, I have Taylor Poindexter on the show. Taylor Poindexter is an engineering manager at Spotify. She also is a Render ATL speaker this year, so you won't want to miss that on Monday. What else? We got Eugene. What's going on? Ricardo, Valerie, Taya. Shabab, it's good to see you. What do you call? What do you do when the interviewer is late to the call? We'll get there in a second. Emmett, it's good to see you. Eugene, connect, love it. Brian, my guy from Blacksburg, Virginia. Hey, Brian, have y'all got any snow in Virginia yet? I could call my grandmother, but might as well ask you since you're on the show. Michael, it's good to see you. Brandon, happy Friday. I always want to try that coffee. It's really good. Listen, I mean, again, I drink a lot of bougie coffee. That conference coffee is really, really good. So highly recommend trying it. It's not super expensive. Just go on the website and buy some beans. Use the code GC2. to get a few bucks off. Joyce, it's good to see you. Good morning. Happy New Year. Friday. It's Friday, Thomas. Get together, big dog. Friday. All right. So let's go ahead and dive in. Oh, also, real quick, I want to give a shout out to you all, or I want to give you all the ability to give yourself a shout out. If you got a raise, a title change, a new job, something that you're proud of professionally, throw it up in the chat. I want to celebrate you today again. I always talk about this. We always move on to the next thing, right? The next job title, the next raise. When's my next one? I want to celebrate you today. So please comment. If you've done something that you are proud of in your professional career, I want you to brag on yourself. I feel like in today's world, we do not brag on ourselves enough. So I want you to do that today. Let's see here. No snow in Northern Virginia. Brian Walter, no snow in Blacksburg. So all right. Well, I got to call my grandmother. She's in Roanoke. Remember that. So I got to call her, make sure she's okay. My grandmother's like 85 years old, walks with hand weights when it snows. It's crazy. She's like Rocky, but like 80 and tiny. So not Rocky at all. Richie, it's good to see you. Cold Atlanta. Yeah, man, it's cold in Nashville. It's 33 degrees outside right now in Nashville. But I love it. Love my Minted New York. I love this brand, Minted New York. Checking out. All right, let's get to it. Interviewing for preparing for interviewing. I was about to say interviewing for preparing for interviews. Let's talk about that for a second. So I want to go through some basics, right? And so we are here we go. Former educator turned tech recruiter. It's possible pivot. Stephanie, I am proud of you. And I will tell you this as somebody who has a hell of respect for educators. I bet you are a hell of a recruiter. So I'm proud of you, Stephanie. That's awesome. All right. So preparing for interviews. So I'm doing a lot of interviewing right now with some clients. Definitely some activity right now. And so I definitely want to talk about how to prepare yourself. So first off, know what the company does. So that's a big one. And when I say know what the company does, I mean, know what the company does. And then also, how can you tie in your experiences, right? And I think that's the one thing I want to get across today is so many of y'all prepare for interviews, but then you don't tie it into what you all have done, right? So like if I'm like I'm staffing up for a healthcare client right now, and it's like, all right, this healthcare client. So like try to find commonalities to bring into the interview. So for example, I think I've told this story before where I worked on a project for a hot second for a podiatry center. They wanted basically a marketplace built where you can telemedicine, you can purchase their gear online. Like they kind of wanted a one-stop shop. And again, I eat my own dog food, as they say. I literally was like, I went into the first conversation to get the business. I was like, I'm really passionate about this. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I go, I have had major foot issues throughout my career. And I really have. And I was like, this is incredibly important to me. Because as somebody who has had foot issues, I would have loved something like this. Well, they chose to go with us. Now, then they canceled the project because of funding on their end, but they chose to go with us because I had a passion for their business, right? Because people want to work with other people who are passionate, right? So again, if you research the company, that's great, right? That's step one. Do not get me wrong. Research the company, know what's up, but then also too, tie it into your personal life, right? Hey, listen, I had a family member die of cancer. This is incredibly important to me. Or I've had foot issues, right? So this is important. So again, tie it into that. So that's the first thing. Second thing, also do that with the interviewers, right? That is like so. Who did I have? Oh, Julian. Was it Julian this week? If somebody's watched with me all week, remind me of this. I think it was Julian. I've only had two guests, so I think it was probably Julian. No, one guest actually. Julian. So it was Julian. Sorry. Julian said he got the job where he's at. Julian is an engineering manager. Julian said he got the job where he's at because he did research on the people who were interviewing him and he tied in his similarities and it changed the entire trajectory of the interview. Now you're probably like, Taylor, this sounds really familiar. You've talked about this a lot. Yes, I know I've talked about this a lot. That's literally what I preach. Because what happens is the typical way people interviews, there's no research. So it comes in and it's a very like the reason why people don't like interviews is because because y'all don't know how to have a conversation. Yeah, like let's call it what it is. None of y'all, very few of y'all know how to have a conversation. So you go into interviews just sitting there expecting to be like just bombarded with questions, and then you just answer the questions with what they are at face value, and then you wonder why you hate interviewing. right? I've said this before. It's like going on a date. It's going on a date, and I ask you 25 questions, and I don't deviate from those questions. First off, how are you going to feel after that date? Not great. Also, too, I'm not going to be able to probably learn a ton from you because I have my own agenda, right? Now, this can also go for the interviewers on the company side too, but we're not talking about that right now. That's a whole nother episode. So again, for me, bring specifics into so if you interviewed with me at Gun and you're like, "Hey Taylor, I saw where you love Gary Vaynerchuk and South Carolina football. I didn't go to South Carolina. I went to Auburn the year we played y'all in the SEC championship with Cam Newton." I would immediately be like, "Yeah, dude, y'all just absolutely raced over this. Raced over us." And and we would hit it off. I'd be mad at you because you're an Auburn fan, but we'd hit it off, right? Or Taylor, I see you're a prolific content creator. My favorite content creator right now is X, whoever, Mr. Beast. Then we'd probably start talking about what Mr. Beast does, and the entire interview changes, right? So again, know who you're interviewing with, the company and the individuals, and tie in your background to those people. I think you do those 2 things alone, the entire interview is gonna change. Now, are you gonna pass the interview and move on to the next round? I don't know, but the interview is gonna feel so much not like an interview than like you know what I'm saying? So, again, those are my 2 steps right now. Also, another thing too, I've talked about this in conversations with engineering leaders. Actually, hold on, I wanna get to questions real quick too. Let's see here. Uh, yes, Dominic, congrats on making it through the first week of the year, 100%. Thomas, I've been working behind the scenes on some job opportunities in April. I was laid off in June. I worked a contract job in July. I received an offer for a government contract, background check, but in the meantime, I've been working temporarily for local universities. I love that. I love that. Thomas, very proud of you. Congrats, man. That's awesome. Um, let's see here. Eugene, connection on a human level is super important. Your technical skills alone won't get you hired. Yeah, again, right? I mean, so many hiring managers I talk to, they talk about soft skills. Like they're like, I would say they're the hardest skills, right? Because it's hard to master. Jason, it's good to see you, big dog. Yes, talking is such a lost art. Erica, it's good to see you. On the date, what did we have for dinner though? It's good, Jason. Let's see here. It's counterintuitive, but you're interviewing the person more than the company. Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with you as well. Robert, it's good to see you, man. It's really good to see you. Missed you. Joyce, yes, absolutely. Congrats, Thomas. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to interviewing prep, is I would have like I would almost have like a little packet, like a little. I would have a moleskin. Do you guys have moleskins? I would have a moleskin, and during your interview, I would literally have a few things laid out. First off, I would have your sizzle reel, so 3 to 4 bullet points of your career, specifically at how it relates to the interview in the position you're interviewing with. Right. So let's say Brian, because again, Brian's a hiring manager. Brian is talking, let's say Brian goes, "Hey, Taylor, tell me about yourself for this role." I need to be able to go, "All right, Brian, I'm gonna tell you about myself as it relates to the role," and then I need to have those 3 or 4 bullet points to do that, right? So again, prepare it in here, have it in front of you. Also, another thing too, um, basically, like, we need to, uh again, prepare sorry, there's a lot of Slack channels going back and forth right now, so I'm a little distracted. So let's restart here for a second. Write down write down your sizzle points, right? How it relates to the role. I would also have a pen and paper in front of you because what happens is that a lot of us interrupt people. I interrupt people, right? I actually did it on a call with Gun.io a few weeks ago, and it wasn't good, right? So what happens is we lose our train of thought. So write down your train of thoughts. I've asked a few hiring managers. I said if somebody would be what's more distracting? Somebody looking away from the screen and typing or somebody looking down taking notes. Every single hiring manager I've talked to said it's less distracting if I know they have a notepad in front of them and they're taking notes instead of typing because the engineering leaders go basically uh they think they're cheating. They think they could be using Chat GPT. Listen, Listen, every hiring manager right now that I've talked to is super nervous about people using Chat GPT in interviews. So if you're over here typing off your screen questions or notes like we're talking about, the hiring manager is immediately going to go to, "Hey, um, are you Chat GPT in this interview?" Right? So be aware of that, right? Please be aware of that. Brandon, my mic is super hot right now. I don't know. Well, anyways, we'll fix that. I don't know. Again, do that. Really, I mean, just make sure that you're aware of that. What else? We got a question here. Um, Tyler Bryan comes in here. Can you talk about the best way to research people, especially when they are very limited on LinkedIn content? Yeah, this is tough. I would definitely Google. I would Google. I would go to their LinkedIn, see if they have any links out. I think sometimes at the end of the day, like you're not going to be able to find stuff on people on every single person. That's okay. But I would also just Google, just literally go to Google. You know, if yeah, I mean that's what I would do. Like Brian, if you didn't have a good LinkedIn, I would literally go to Brian Walter, Blacksburg, Virginia, and I would put the company you work at and just see what pops up and do some Googling. Right. But again, Brian was on the show. And if I did some Googling, Brian, I could probably find out you do triathlons, right? Because your name's gonna pop up on Google, probably with triathlon stuff. So then if I come into a conversation with Brian and be like, "Hey, man, I see you do some triathlon stuff," again, that conversation is going to shift, right? Because if you start getting people to talk about what they're passionate about, they're immediately going to endear themselves to you, right? So again, I would Google on this stuff. Still looking for software development roles. I'm starting customer. Yeah, I love that, Robert. Again, very, very smart, man. Network within the company is incredibly important. Brandon, it's good to see you, man. In tech, we have two problems. Not a lot of devs know how to interview people, and not a lot of job seekers know how to connect with people. Eugene, you could not have summarized that more effectively. All right. So, again, to recap, research the company, research the people you're interviewing with, tie in your similarities to those people and their backgrounds. Third thing is make sure you have a pen and paper in front of you with a 3 to 4 bullet points of specifically of how your background relates to the role. Also, I would have your interview out, or not your interview, your resume. Words are hard this morning. Your resume out. Have your resume out in front of you. Print your resume. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like every single interview, you need to have like this little like packet in front of you because what happens is you don't know your background as well as you think you do, right? Because people get nervous in interviews and people black out. I don't know about I black out, right? So if you have your resume and your notebook in front of you and you're taking notes, it allows you to be intentional and focused and dialed in. I don't know about you, but when I interview with or I talk to people online or Skype people and and they start talking, I zone out. I have a problem zoning out, right? And so when you're in an interview, you be locked in, stare at the person, and then if you have a question, write it down. It keeps you engaged. The problem is if we have different tabs open, our ADD minds are like, ooh, tab, ooh, Google, oh, what's this? Right. So make sure you only have a screen up for the Zoom call in front of you, and then everything else is right here. And so it's either Zoom or it's writing things down, and there's no distractions, right? Don't have your cell phone out, don't have your iPad out, don't have your video games out, none of that, right? So again, just focus, be dialed in, be intentional. Another thing, come with questions, right? We talk about this all the time. On my website, gun.io/Taylor, you can find a bunch of questions that I've created to ask interviewers. Come with that, right? Because for me, here's the deal. Again, going back to dating, there's so much that comes into play when it comes to dating and the job search. When you're on a date and you sit there like a knot on the log and you don't ask any questions, how does that come across? Or if your date goes, "Do you have any questions for me?" And you go, "No, I'm good." you, you're not going on that second date. Now, if some of y'all married that person, props to you all, but you ain't going on a second date if you act that way. Same thing here, right? The whole hi, the whole like, oh, you've answered all my questions. Nope, that's just lazy. That's a lazy take. Do not do that. Listen, the conversation with Julian, I would highly recommend checking it out. I did it on Tuesday with him. It's on my LinkedIn. The conversation was so good and basically, what he talked about is the fact that the more engaged, the more intentional, and the more back and forth banter you can have with an interviewer, it's going to completely change. It's going to completely change. I want to go through a few questions here. or comments. Eugene, here's an unpopular opinion. If I were interviewing devs for my company, I'd actually be curious on how Candace use Chat GPT. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think this is an interesting take. I think this is an interesting take as well, for sure. Emmett, talk about what happens when the interview has curveballs. Interviewers late, internet drops out. Ooh, great question, Emmett. All right, what happens when the interview has curveballs? Interviewer is late. If anybody has other curveballs that they want to chime in here, please throw them in. So TikTok, if you're watching and you've had a curveball in an interview, please throw it up in the chat and I'll answer how to deal with it. Let's talk about interviewers late. First off, if it's more than 5 minutes late, I would send them an email. I would just send an email and be like, hey, here's what's going on. If you're working through a recruiter, I would message and text that recruiter immediately. Hey, so and so is not on the interview. If you're working with anybody like not yourself, I just like you got to be on it. Just don't sit there. Again, don't sit there. Do something. Text somebody, email somebody, and see what's up. Right now, this may rattle you a little bit. Right. So again, like take breaths, right? Take breaths to breathe, relax. Because what happens is a lot of people get flustered and then they jump right into the interview, right? This this is where when it comes to connecting with people is important because if the interviewer is late, people can get flustered. So then if you jump right in the interview, it's gonna be hard, right? Know how to build that rapport on the front end. Internet drops out. Listen, make sure you get text not make text numbers. Make sure you get phone numbers from people because I think this is great. Make sure on every interview you have a job description, the interviewer's LinkedIn's, interviewers' phone numbers if you can, or HR or the recruiters, so that that communication can happen. I love that question. Jason, pro talker right here. Can confirm I work alongside of Jason with all my stuff. Also, I want to give a shout out to Jason. I really haven't announced it. I brought Jason on board as my project coordinator. Jason is in charge of running all my brands. So you may hear from him or me. But Jason's awesome. So can confirm pro talker right here and even flubs. And he even flubs think about how much practice you need then in communication skills. Yeah, 100%. Let's see here. Stacy, it's good to see you. Brandon, I often have my resume open on the screen, but video screen overlaps. And I tend not to see as much. Printing sounds a great idea. Yeah, again, and then what happens, Brandon, if you're in the interview and somebody asks you a question about your background, you can like maybe go in your background and circle it and like write a quick. Again, I I don't know about you, but for me, writing stuff down is just better. And I'm trying to go back to that. Like I've started journaling. By the way, low key, big fan of journaling. Like so, people have asked me. I'm gonna do a. I'm gonna do an. I'm gonna do a video about this. I've started journaling. Brain dumping, what brings me joy, what brings me anxiety, what am I thankful for? I do those 4 things every morning, and this, it's helped me a ton. So, just, again, writing, I think it does a lot there. Robert, I once had an interview I was supposed to have at 5:30 AM on a Sunday for a remote role from Ireland. That is not ideal. That is not ideal, and it happens, it happens. Andrew comes in here. Yeah, I love that you can comment on X now, and now I can see you could used to only see comments on YouTube and LinkedIn. Now I can see comments on X too, which is great. Andrew, I've had years of experience over a range of areas from design, leadership, coding to a founder, even to adventure, outdoor management. How to communicate 20 plus years of people in the past 3 years was in hospitals for cardiac issues. First off, I'm glad you're still on this earth and alive. So props to that, Andrew. Here's the deal. Andrew, this is where you really got to dig into what the position actually entails, right? So the tell me about yourself question. I talk about this a lot. Andrew, if you are interviewing for a leadership design role, then you got to talk about that, right? I would make a joke. I would play it off like, hey, tell me about yourself. Well, I'd be like, well, I can't really tell you about myself for the last 3 years because I was having cardiac issues. Right. And then like that's gonna like set the tone and be like, but I can tell you what I've done here. Bang, bang, bang. Here's the deal. If you have been out of work for a few months, for a few years at this point, it is so incredibly important to have the about me statement question nailed down to a T. If you do not, you will struggle to go past first rounds. Because if you sit here and you're like, well, I haven't really done anything for 3 years, and then before that, I kind of did this, and then I kind of did that, bro, I'd be like, nope, pass. I can't. It is, hey, my name's Andrew. I don't really have anything to show for the last 3 years because I was in and out of hospitals with cardiac issues. I'm so glad I'm on this earth. That's funny. Not funny, but like it would lighten the mood. And it's like, but here's what I've done. Bang, 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 bang. What else do y'all want to know? Right? So much more impressive. Let's see here. Adrian comes in. I had a coaching interview with the CEO. Wanted to press my audio work, but my video wouldn't work. Yes, Adrian, thank you for chiming in here. Listen, make sure do a video test, right? Do a video test. This is incredibly important. Make sure your audio works. Make sure your video works. I would log on 15 minutes early right now in interviews and make sure this works. Let's see here. Trying to convince someone to mentor me. Any recommendations? Trying to convince someone to mentor me. Well, first off, Adrian, it depends on what you want. And I have done sessions on how to navigate mentor mentee relationship. You need to be very direct. You need to drive the conversation. You need to drive everything, the agenda, the conversations, when, where, what time, and just ask. Just ask, right? Hey Taylor, I would love for you to be my mentor. I'm asking for one meeting a month for 30 minutes. I'm going to come with you with questions. I will do that. I will do that once a month, right? So again, but you got to be specific on what you want, how many times you want to meet, the cadence, the amount of time, and just start asking people. But have a clear, defined ask from a mentor mentee approach. Danny comes in. Make sure to confirm in time zones with interviews. Another great suggestion here. Again, this is why I like going live. This is why I like going live so y'all can comment because I'm gonna miss things. I'm gonna miss things. So that's wonderful as well. Andrew, I was coding side projects at the hospital, just not paid stuff. Good tips. Thanks, Taylor. Glad I'm not dead too. Makes productive. Yeah, again, Andrew CC's little banter back and forth. Like I love this. It completely changed the conversation, right? I'm glad you're alive, Andrew. I'm glad you're on this earth. This earth is better with you on it. I don't even know you, but I can already tell you're an awesome dude. But yeah, but here's the Andrew. I want to say this: the paid stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I've told this story multiple times. I worked with the junior developer. I'm going to wrap up here because I got another meeting I got to go to here pretty quickly. I worked with a junior developer. He had 2 years of experience on his resume. I said, "Man, this is great. How much were you getting paid?" He goes, I wasn't." I go, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I was doing this for free." It did. His resume looked incredible, and it was completely paid work. Unpaid work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have experience, Andrew. If you can show the code for what it is, it's legit. It's a 9 to 5. Don't worry about the non-paid stuff. Don't even bring that up. Just be like, hey, this is what it is. This is what it was. And if you have the GitHub to show for the code, and you can walk people through the code, you're good. You're good. What is the best way to break into the tech industry? Brian, I'm glad you asked this. I'm going to end on this question. What is the best way to break into the tech industry? To network your ass off. And what I mean by networking your ass off, I would do two things. One, I would talk to a complete stranger that you want to meet every day, right? So Brian, if I were you, I would try to network on the back of my live show every day. Every day. Message Danny, message Adrian, message everybody. Hey, nice to meet you. Two, I put out a clip on this recently. There's a lot of creators out there that need websites built for free. If you can take on a project for free, I think you should. Jordan Ryerson, want to give a shout out to him. He developed the website for unicorn finders for me, and he used that to leverage to get a job, and he did it for free. He did a bang up job. The unicornfinders.com. That is what he did. Right. Offer your services, network, talk to your friends, go to your local city, nonprofits, kennels, churches. Everybody needs work done, but no one's asking. So just start asking. Hey, I'm trying to get work. Ask to shadow. Everybody who has worked with me for free. Everybody who's worked with me in general has found a job. Fun little fact. Everybody who has worked with me for free as an intern has found a job. I'm telling you, if you get caught into people's ecosystems, you will network off the back of them and find a job. So again, just ask questions. Another interviewer tip: don't book yeah, incredibly important. Another interviewing tip: don't book another call right after the interview. Make sure that you provide space to breathe and go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. Make sure you schedule time to potty. If you know what I mean. Worst thing is to get caught in another interview. You got to go to the bathroom. Anyways, all right, cool. That's it, y'all. I got to bounce. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed this. Happy Friday. I appreciate it as well. For y'all joining in TikTok, it's great to see y'all. Solid people tuning in. Appreciate y'all. LinkedIn, love y'all. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. It's great to see y'all this morning. Y'all have a great one. I appreciate y'all a ton. And I will see y'all on Monday. Again, next week, I'm just going to read through next week. On Monday, we got Taylor, like I said, Taylor Poindexter, engineering manager at Spotify, coming on Monday. Actually, next week is all females in tech. I'm super pumped. Tuesday is my dear friend Kelly Vaughn, director of engineering. Wednesday, Chandler, who basically started Black Tech Twitter. It's going to be a hell of a week next week. So can't wait. Can't wait for this. Are these recorded anyway? Yes, this is on my YouTube, Gene. So go to my YouTube, Taylor Destin on YouTube. You can catch all of these and learn some stuff. Again, appreciate y'all support. Y'all have a great one. Have a great weekend. See y'all. Peace.